In this tutorial today, we'll be making this trendy ruffle dress using this manipulated dartless bodice. Stay tuned. So the first thing I'm going to do is to mark my measurement points. That's my shoulder to my bust point, my shoulder to my under bust, my shoulder to my half length, my hip line, and my full length. So after that, I'm going to mark my neck width first. This 3 inches neck width is not what I'm going to be using for this tutorial, mind you. So after that, I'll mark quarter of my shoulder measurement, which is 7.5. That is 14 divided by 2. When I do that, I will mark my shoulder slope by coming down by 1 inch from my shoulder point and connecting to my neck width. I'll retake my shoulder measurements, then come up from my bust point by 2 inches. This is to enable me get my chest line. So I'm going to roll that, then connect from my shoulder point to my chest line on the shoulder, yes, to get my chest line. So after that, I'm going to mark quarter of my bust measurement. Then I would mark my bust point, that's my nipple to nipple, from my bust point down to my hip line. After that, I would come up from the hip line by 1 inch, come down from the bust point by 1 inch, and then for my dart intake, I will be using 1.5 for my dart intake. Please, if you really want to understand this, I have a tutorial on this channel on how to draft a basic pattern. So after marking 1.5 on both sides on the half length, I would connect it to my bust point, the 1 inch I came down from my bust point, and I will do the same thing. I'll do the same thing for the 1 inch I went up from my hip line, as you can see. So this is my darts. So my darts intake is actually 1.5, not 1, as we do in most basic bodies, but I want this dress to be really snatched, reason I took 1.5. So I will mark my quarter of my body measurements everywhere. My hip divided by 4, I will mark that. I'll mark the same thing on my length, because I will not be contouring yet. I will do that when I'm manipulating my dart. So my hip divided by 4 on my hip line. I actually have 2 hip lines here because I want to get a clean curve. One is 8.5 and the other is 11.5. So I'll connect that. I'll come to my half length. I would mark my waist divided by 4, replace my darts, and then connect that. On my bust point, I'll just connect from what I already marked there, which is my bust divided by 4 too. So to get my armhole curve, I'll divide my chest line by 2. That's the armhole chest line, as you can see me do here, by 2. I'll come in by ½ inch and connect to my quarter of my bust measurement. So this is for the front measurement. I'm basically doing the same thing for the back. For the back, I'll measure my shoulder to chest line. I'm just using what I got from my front, which is 9. Shoulder to chest 9. Shoulder to half length. My back half length is 15 inches, not 17, because your back half length is shorter than your front half length. If you look closely, you will understand what I'm doing. So I mark my chest line, my bust point, my half length, so after that I'll come down by 8.5 inch and then 11.5 inch for my hip line. Like I said before, I have 2 hip line on this pattern to enable me get a curve. If you don't have a pattern master, you can use this method to get a clean curve and not a sharp curve. So I'll mark my full length, and so after marking my full length, I would label all my lines. That's my chest line, my bust point, my half length, and my hip line, 2 hip line, and then my full length. So first thing I'll do after that is to mark my shoulder measurement. I'm extending my chest line, sorry. I'll mark my shoulder measurements divided by 2. Do the same thing to my shoulder line. I'll connect that. Then I'll mark half of my nipple to nipple line, same way I did for the front, from the hip line to the chest line. So I'm going to come up from the hip line by 1 inch and then measure my 1.5 on both sides of the half length, and then connect this to the 1 inch I came up from the hip line, the first hip line, and then connect this to my chest line. I'm not coming down by anything for the chest line because there's no breast at the back. So I'll mark quarter of my waist measurement plus my dart allowance, quarter of my bust point on my chest line and on my bust point. Then I'll give my shoulder slope, divide my chest line by 2, mark, come in by ½ inch, and then connect this to quarter of my bust measurements as you see me do. So after this, I'm going to put my hip divided by 4, that's quarter of my hip measurement. I'll do this on both hip line and then connect to my waist point. So I'm going to take this hip measurement and input it on my full length. I'm so sorry that it's not showing, but it's just basically my quarter of my hip measurement that is down there. So I connect this and I would cut it out. I did not mark the neckline measurements yet because I want to do that after I've finished manipulating my darts. I'll keep my back pattern on one side and then I would cut on my half length. And then keep one side, the lower part aside. Now you're going to measure what you have on your dart intake. Mine is 1.5, and I'll connect this 1.5 to any point on my armhole curve as you see me do. After that, I'm going to connect another line from the outer leg of my dart. Just look at what I'm doing, from the outer leg of my dart to that same point on my armhole. After doing that, I would cut one of the lines open, preferably the one on the dart leg. Cut as close as possible to the armhole, as close as possible so that it will enable you close up. And then I'll place one side on top as you see me do, thereby covering the 1.5 inch as you can see. Don't worry, The lower parts, you will see that it's not going to be equal anymore. That's because you've taken in that's your darts. So you use your masking tape or any tape that you have to close it up, as you see me do. For the lower parts, it's basically the same thing. I would connect from the outer dart leg to any point on my hip line, as you can see, and then mark 1.5 each, which is my darts intake, connect it to the same line, and then cut on the line close to the dart leg. Cut it open, as you see me do, and then place on top of the other one. Just follow what I did. Don't worry, your measurements on the hip line will still be the same, and then when you measure your waistline, you will notice that you've gone back to your normal waist measurements. This way you've contoured your pattern, and then still without letting your dart show. So if you notice, you see that the upper part, the one side is lower than the other side, meaning it's not complete. So I'll be joining my half lengths back to my lower length, because I don't want this gown to have a half length line or a waist line, whichever way you call it. So I'm introducing another pattern paper underneath the both of them. Bring it as close as possible. Let your dart legs be matching. See how my dart legs are matching on both sides. Let's make sure yours is matching on both sides, and then close it up with your masking tape. That way you have completed the other side that is not equal. Let's look at what I'm doing. Make sure your dart legs are equal. Your up and your lower dart legs are equal, middle and sides. So after doing this, I'm going to just trace it out. When I'm done doing this, I'm going to contour my gown. Sorry, it's not showing. So what I just basically did is come in by 1.5 inch on the full length and connect to my hip line and cut out. I'm so sorry, it's not showing. So I did the same thing for my back, exactly the same thing. Well, I'll show you what the difference between the back and the front is. The difference is obviously on the zip area and on the, yes, for the zipper bulge. Just to eliminate zipper bulge, I'm going to contour the back. Now, instead of closing my two pieces together to complete the side that is incomplete, I'm going to do that separately, meaning I'm doing the exact same thing I did on the front, on the back, but I'm doing the upper part separate and the lower part separate, as you can see me do. See what I'm doing? Trying to connect the lines to complete my, you see that, to complete my darts, my body's pattern, so it will be straight. So I'm doing it separately so that I'll be able to contour my back for my zipper bulge. See that when I finish placing that, I'll measure and try to correct wherever it's not okay. So next thing I'm going to do for my zipper bulge is I'm going to take 0.75 on the upper part of my bodice. This is on the center back. Please, on the center back, I'm taking 0.5 inch from my half length up and from my half length down, and then connect it to the side of my bodice. I'm doing this for both the skirt parts and the upper body parts. As you can see, it's already giving you that slopey back for your zip. This is important so that when you're done making your dress, your back will not have those bulge. So after doing that, I'm going to join the upper body and the lower body, that's the skirt part and the upper parts together, to make a complete gown. If you notice, you see my dart's legs are still matching on the skirt part and the upper part. So the next step I'm going to take is to come in by 0.5 inch again on the half length, as you can see me do for the back. I'm going to connect this to my hip line and then connect to my shoulder points at this point. So for the lower part, I'm so sorry this particular side is not showing. I'm going to come in by 1 inch for the zipper part, that's on the full length, and then 1.5 inch on the side of the back. Same 1.5 inch I took for the front, I'm going to take it, and then I'm going to take 1 inch on the zipper part too. So that means for my back contour at the lower or the full length, I took 2.5, then from the front I took 1.5, and total is going to be 4 inches for my contour. So for my neckline, you can basically just do whatever neckline you want to do, but for this one I'm going to take a width of 5 inches. If you see the style, you would see that it is a very wide neckline, and I'm just trying to do something at the back here. I'm not sure of what I'm doing, but I know I want a lower back for the back neckline. So I used 5 inches here, and then I connected to what I want before to do. Don't mind what I'm doing here. I'll be doing the same thing for my front. I'm going to be using a neck width of 5 inches and a neck depth of 8 or 7 inches. It all depends on how scooped you want the neckline to be. You can use 8, you can use 9, you can use 7. All depends on you. But what I used for this is actually 8 inches. I might decide to increase it later. And remember to add 0.5 inch all around this your neck measurements. Remember, I'm using a stretchy fabric for this. If you're using a stretchy fabric so that it's not too wide, now look at my dart manipulation. I'll be dropping the sewing tutorial of how I used it soon. Please subscribe, like and share. Thank you.